forward with the mission here. You may consider anticipating possible preemptive roundups, detainment of blacklisted and deemed threats to the evil empire and this New World Order. They're not going to come out and formally announce everything. If you actually believe there is going to be a preemptive roundup, then make your response plans for that. The detainment camps are real. They just didn't show up because and appear in the past few years. They have been working on this for decades. It's what you don't see and don't know. And not everything's above ground, people. And that's all I'm going to say right now. Not everything is above ground. And not everything looks like a detainment center. DHS has leases and executive orders to acquire stadiums, factories, warehouses, and just about anything else they deem suitable. Anticipate seeing unfamiliar uniforms and personnel during martial law. Don't get caught off guard. You're not going to see all their cards. Anticipate seeing agencies and operations that are actually black ops, off ledger, off books. Now, I'm going to finish the video series mentioning some things about open warfare and open violence. It may get graphic. This will probably take 2 videos. I'm going to try to keep the language clean, but some of the graphics, are you really sure you want this, people? There's a lot of talk, and this is one reason I am against preemptive strikes. Everything you know about stability and peace is gone if we go into open violence and open warfare, death and destruction. Day turns to night, night turns to day. Some of you have seen this. There are veterans, and there are even retired police officers that have been thrown in death and destruction in the United States, not overseas. There are cities and locations where it's not safe at times. But you don't forget the sounds, the sights, and the smells can be overwhelming, and it will stay in your mind. It can be overwhelming, and it's no secret. It hurts to get shot, it hurts to get cut, and it hurts to get burned. But when someone's trying to kill you, you don't have time typically to stop and address that. People are going to get killed because they didn't have food, water, or shelter, or can maintain and protect it. There are going to be people that are going to get killed because violent civilians and some violent security forces can smell and see the fear and the weakness in some people. Modern warfare I already mentioned involves at times the internal fighting, the starvation, the dysentery, and the armed security forces fighting among the people and those that resist them. Guerrilla warfare raises this up a notch, several notches, to where you don't want to be deemed a threat, but you can't be intimidated by the circumstances. You have to rise above the violence and rise above the evil and address it and respond to it. You may see new technology that's not known to the public, even those in the military or the DOJ. Some of this classified technology, people, is going to induce fear, distress, and panic in the population. DOD black operations is well funded for secret weapons and operations. The Air Force has for example, extensive funding for advanced assets, and most likely will be used at some point. And the Air Force is not just limited to assets in the air. They have assets that function on the ground or elsewhere. And it's not just limited to the Air Force. I'm not picking on pointing them out. They are heavily funded. Anticipate to see unusual weapon systems and technology. Anticipate seeing NASA-funded technology used against the population at some point. Some of you know what the hologram is. Don't be fooled by deception or fear if, and most likely at some point, they will use PSYOPs, hologram technology that's not even known. You may, and it's trying to be specific on it, is speaking more like a science fiction novel or a movie, and that's not appropriate. Do your research. You're not going to find out everything, and some things you won't find anything about. And the people that actually know this aren't talking. Learn the night vision capabilities of the armed security forces. They have the advanced technology. You know how expensive it is just for the basic night technology civilians can purchase. It's expensive. You can go to the DoD sites. They're even on YouTube. They show their night operations and missions. It would be worth your while to understand what the helicopters see and the pilots and the units and the bombers and fighters. It wouldn't hurt for you to know that, because some of you may be confronted with this, and you need to know the kill zone. You need to know what they actually see and how they respond to it. You don't have to be afraid of it, but this is your best weapon. These aren't my best weapons. This is. I don't know how to post this, and my wife does, but I may post one of the DoD sites. If not, look it up. You can be killed from lack of understanding of combat and tactics and the technology of what they may use against you. Now, also the rogue security forces can sense the fear and weakness in innocent victims. The foreign troops will not care about you. The mercenaries' loyalty is to the money, not you, even if they're Americans. They can see you as expendable and a damn nuisance. You don't want to. The Turkish troops can be savages and inhumane and no remorse for war crimes against their enemies. The Turks people are some of the premier. If you wanted to unleash fear and intimidation and high casualties and submission, unleash forces such as the Turks. They have been fighting for hundreds of years. They don't give a damn at that point. They have nothing to lose. You stand to lose everything if you confront them. That's why you've got to be mentally tough and emotionally tough and disciplined and have that fortitude. Now, the longer the violence and warfare continues, the risk for heinous war crimes increases. Rules of engagement most likely will begin to be compromised at different levels and units. Rogue units emerging. Command loses control of some of their units. Unjustified killings dramatically increase. Unarmed civilians are killed. Lack of mercy, no patience toward the population. Intolerance and no compassion toward the population. Increase of brutality, increase of torture, and mostly attached toward killing people. Burnout, not giving a damn about the brutality inflicted on the population. Increase of violent retaliation. A lot of pissed off civilians, and you have a right to be. See how it feeds off each other? The violence becomes a cycle of increasing death and destruction. Now, if you haven't been in firefights, you can be blinded or wounded or killed from bullets striking wood, steel, metal, bricks, mortar, glass, and other materials, both man-made and natural. Know what you're parking your head and your body against for cover, and you need to know the difference between concealment and cover. Look it up yourself. Ask somebody, but look it up for yourself foremost above anything. People can kill and injure you that have been trained with ricochet shots too. Now, some of the things that bother most people that are thrown into open violence and open warfare is the children. The children that are starving, wounded, maimed, dead, and dying. Even babies. It's difficult to remove these images of the children and babies that have suffered or their young life was extinguished. That doesn't get past a lot of veterans. And as far as the retired police officers, detectives seeing, the child abuse cases and molestation stays with them at times too. And even though that's different than death and destruction, it's still in the same category of children as victims. We're going to have to start another video and finish it.